in this video we will be looking at multiplying fractions, and we're going to be looking at how to multiply fractions such as a half times a third, or maybe 2/3 times, say, 10 over 3, and then hopefully we're going to be ending up with solving some simple algebraic fractions such as b over x times, we can say, 2 over x even. So let's start by looking at a simple fraction. So say I'm going to start with a half times a half. Now the way we would say this in English is a half of a half. You know, what's a half of a half? In other words, if I had a pizza or a cake, and this is my half, and I'm trying to work out what a half of this half is. What's half of that? So the way we work it out is we actually split it up. So we say, half of it, that's about half of it, okay? So it's a quarter. So what we do is we say a half times a half makes a quarter. Now we have to spot the pattern. So how are we going from these two fractions here? Well, how are we going from this fraction and this fraction to get to a quarter? And the only way to get to the answer is if we actually multiply the numbers. Look, 1 times 1 is 1, and then 2 times 2 is 4. So in other words, what we've just done is we've said we've got a half, and I'm just going to extend this line, I'm going to say that. So 1 times 1 is 1, and 2 times 2 is 4. So that's the basic principles of multiplying fractions. Now let's look at something a bit more complicated. Let's have a look at another example. So this time we're going to be looking at 2/3 times, say, 4/5. So again, the same principles apply. We just multiply across. So this will be 2 times 4 over 3 times 5, and that makes 8. 2 times 4 is 8, and 3 times 5 is 15. Okay, and you would leave it there. Now if you can simplify, then by all means simplify, but in this case there is no sort of common divisor. I can't really divide the top and bottom by the same common number, so we leave it as it is. So let's have a look at another example. Say we had something like 10 over 3 times a half. Now 10 times 1 is 10, 3 times 2 is 6. Now can I simplify that, or what does this actually mean, 10 over 6? What it means, it's 10 divided by 6. So in other words, how many 6's go into 10, right? How many
6's go into 10?
So we know it goes into it once. 10 divided by 6, it goes into it once. So that will be 1. And then my remainder would be 4 over 6. So now I've rewritten it as a mixed fraction. It's 1 and 4/6 times. But then we can simplify the 4/6, can't we? We can divide by 2. So we can actually simplify this fraction here. So if I just do it on the right hand side here and say, well, we can simplify that by dividing by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. So it's 2/3. So I can say that this is actually 1 and 2/3. Okay, so the only extra step we have to do is actually just convert into mixed fractions and then simplifying if we can. That's all, but the same principle applies. Right, so that's just basic numeric fractions. Now we're going to look at the more of the algebraic fractions, which follow the exact same principles. So let's have a look. So this time we're going to have 2 over b times 3 over, or actually, let's have c here, c over 3. Again, follow the same principle. So we'll do 2 times c over b times 3. Okay, and from your algebra lessons, we know that 2 times c is just 2c. We've got 2 lots of c's, and that will be 3b. Not b3, because it just doesn't make sense saying it's b lots of 3's. It makes more sense when you say 3 b's, 3 lots of b's. So let's have a look at a bit more trickier examples. Let's have a look at a over b times 3 over 2b. So again, the same thing applies. A times 3 is 3a, and it'll be b times 2b. And the way we go about it is we say, well, it's 2 times b times b. It's exactly the same thing. Okay, we've got b times 2 times b. I can rewrite it as, you know, it's the same thing. I haven't really missed anything out. So this would be 3a over 2, and then b times b is b squared. So 2b squared, right? It's just like saying, you know, 3 times 3. We know that 3 times 3, we can rewrite it as 3 squared. So b times b is b squared. Okay, 2b squared. And that's it. Right, this is it for multiplying fractions. Now remember, all you need to know is the basic multiplying fractions. Okay, so if you know how to do this kind of question, then that's it. If you can get onto this, then that's brilliant. You can simplify, you can convert to mixed fractions, and that's great. And these algebra sort of fractions will come up later, you know, once you progress into your GCSEs and you start looking at multiplying sort of algebraic expressions. That's when it comes up. Okay, so if you've enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. Let me know what you think in the comments box, and then I'll be looking forward to seeing you in the next video.